My name is Etienne, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of ZAR X. Unlike my two predecessors in today's discussion, ZAR X is in fact a licensed stock exchange. So our competition is in fact the JSE. We would collaborate with the likes of Scott and Charles and other brokers to achieve the end game. Just a bit of high-level background, we were granted an exchange license end of last year, August 2016, and we listed our first share this year in February. So effectively, we've only been operational for just over 9 months. In that time, we've signed up 4,800 clients, and we obviously don't have the track record yet, but it's coming. So what sets us apart? We're not a one-trick pony, but I think our biggest selling point is the fact that we are able to settle all equity transactions in T0, or 10 seconds. So globally, the norm is T+3 or T+2. Effectively, it's 4 working days, if you think about it. And in between there's always a bank's balance sheet that's sort of facilitating the transaction. In our environment, that does not happen. We do true delivery versus payment. What does that mean? It means a dramatic reduction in systemic risk, which, unlike the JSE had a couple of weeks ago, we don't have that sort of risk. In terms of our product offering, we would look at primary listings, secondary listings from offshore. We won't do any secondary listings in South Africa. The process that drives the listing environment in ZAR X is a principles-based approach, so it's not rules-based. I think this just sketches the background as to who and what we are. This guy, I don't know if you know him.
No, we don't know.
He made the most profound comment, was that to say, money won't buy you success, the freedom to make it will. And I think to echo what the previous two speakers were talking about is exactly the wealth gap. If you look at the top of the pyramid, what do all those people, the top 1% of the world, have in common? They all own equities, ladies and gentlemen. Yet the people at the bottom are trying to get there, and there's no real means to get there. You know, there's lots of layering of costs, lots of minimum fees, lots of administration costs, etc. So what am I talking about? In the current environment, let's take an investment of roughly 5,000 Rand. You're sitting with a situation where your custody fees and all these other minimums almost make up 23% of your portfolio. So how on earth are you supposed to get ahead if you know, your cost base is almost a quarter of your capital? It's a non-starter. So in our environment, what we've done is we've created, and I'll show you a graphic in a bit, effectively a Gmail for investments. Think of it as a Gmail account. I mean, what did you do with your email account before Gmail? It's free, and we're trying to do that for investments. So we've offered this investment account at a 0 cost. So what does that mean? It means that every person in this room can effectively have an investment account. You can fund it with 100 Rand, 1,000 Rand, 1,000,000 Rand. We don't care. So as a stock exchange, we are able to effectively bulk that money and give you a wholesale interest rate. So to the extent that you want to put money in, day one, you're starting to earn interest. If one day you make up your mind what it is that you want to do with your money, you will pay a transaction fee. And that's the only time you pay a fee as an investor. So if I may, just take a bit of time to explain, because obviously we're a highly regulated environment, and this needs some clarity. So right now, each client has their own segregated depository account held directly at Straight, which is the biggest CSD on the African continent. And that's obviously the most secure form of custody that you can possibly have. We would have market participants or brokers. So we've got an environment of 9 brokers. Incidentally, Easy Equities is one of those market participants that have already signed up. And they are effectively able to transact in the ZAR X environment. All trades are pre-funded and all securities are pre-cleared in our environment. So by the time you place your trade, it matches in real time, and that's why we are able to reduce systemic risk. The other benefit this model gives us, it gives us complete granularity of shareholder detail. So what does that mean? A lot of people in this room understand big data, and effectively we are able to mine that data very efficiently. Furthermore, in South Africa, we've got a unique environment with black economic empowerment. So to the extent that I know exactly who you are, what gender you are, what race you are, all your demographics, we've introduced something called controlled liquidity, and we are effectively able to drive empowerment to a whole new level. Because currently, you've got BE structures that, in our opinion, disempower people, because you get a lock-in in 10 years, and you can't do anything with your shares. So we just asked the question, why can we not have black people trade their BE shares with other black people? It's quite simple. And nobody could give us a succinct answer. And that's what we've done. So in this environment, we know that you're a black South African, and if that's the rule of the issuer, we can effectively apply that. Furthermore, we can list Section 12Js because there's a restriction on shareholding, 20%. You know the story. So we can effectively ensure a broad-based mechanism, because what's happened in most of the BEE transactions is you've got the elite stuck at the top, and they're still owning the equity. I mean, haven't we seen this movie before, guys? So we are able to limit what percentage anybody can own of a company, if you want, as an issuer. So it's that sort of thing that we bring to the party. Furthermore, we drive financial inclusion and education through free access to all financial markets data. Other exchanges globally, they sell this data at enormous fees. We give it away for free. We have value-added data at the back end that we are able to enhance and drive that value to analytics at the back end.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Judges, questions?
Can I maybe just start quickly?
Sure.
It's a great presentation, by the way, and we must talk about Section 12J, because my VC is Section 12J.
Okay.
How do you scale this beyond South Africa? Are you a tech company or are you a capital markets company? What are you actually in?
Both. The reality is because we're exchange, we are regulated in terms of the Financial Markets Act, so it's very regulated. There's lots of rules and stuff at the back end. But our platform is so scalable, and the technology we use is effectively being used right now, as we speak, in 6 other South African countries on their exchanges. We are already in discussions with those guys to be able to give all Africans access to other African securities. So my vision is to be in a position where you can click a drop-down box, and obviously the regulatory environment allowing an exchange control and all these sort of things. Click the drop-down box and you'll be able to trade shares in Kenya, Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, Namibia, Nigeria. Pick a country.
So you're not white labeling. It's just ZAR X that's going global. I mean,
well, the problem is we're an exchange, so you can't really white label.
Okay.
The beauty we've got is the platform, the technology platform we use is already being used fairly extensively, making it incredibly scalable.
I've got 2 questions.
Sure.
So the first one is around, so at the moment you've got nearly 5,000 clients on the platform. What's the demography? What are those clients like, and what is your future client? And my second question is around how you resolve the kind of the traditional bureaucracy-heavy, paper-heavy, governance-heavy aspect of the capital markets, whilst keeping this lean and mean model that you have.
So if I can answer the second question first. Yeah. What we've done is a lot of the, in a regulated environment, you need to have monitoring, oversight, reporting, all that sort of stuff. Because of our model, giving us granularity at every single element, from the issuer right down to the investor, we are able to monitor that much more effectively using technology. So we really are a very tech-heavy shop. Furthermore, we, in terms of democratizing it, every single listing we do just builds that database. So the next listing we've got is a BE type structure, which will dramatically change BE structures and listings going forward in South Africa forever. And every listing we do just adds to that database. So as people start registering and getting the SDAs up and going, that adds to the database. And using our Mobi app, we're able to do capital raising very effectively, because we, unlike on current exchanges, we do it you know, the old-fashioned way, phone people. We just send messages out to everybody, get an acceptance. If there's money in your database, you apply, the broker gets the com, and the listing's done. Capital's raised. Effectively, it's a regulated crowdfunding app.
Etienne, just a question around adoption and stuff. So from a financial inclusion perspective,
Yes.
how do you truly intend to achieve financial inclusion, given that the quality of your listing is obviously one dependency,
Yes.
the sort of scale of access through your broker sort of reach, because your broker still has to stand between a sort of retail investor coming onto the platform.
Yep.
How do you intend to close that gap quickly, or what horizon are you looking to achieve that in? And what does scale look like for this business?
Well, effectively, it's unlimited. So JSE's market cap's 15 trillion rand. We can do that. That is where we're aiming for. To give you context, the BE market right now, you've got 650,000 odd black investors invested in some of these BE structures. And that's the potential. On the JSE, more or less, you've got roughly 300,000 retail accounts, which, you know, if you look at what's possible, you can double that in a very short space of time. And because we've got virtually unlimited upside, so we can have a vast number of brokers, because we've changed the definition of what constitutes a broker in our environment. It's not your traditional stockbroker. We can have IFAs, marketing to people, driving financial inclusion. For example, we're talking to the Stockfell Association, and the guys there are duly licensed. So imagine the Stockfell guys now all of a sudden say, well, hey, start trading ZAR X securities. Obviously, as an exchange, we are the marketplace and we regulate. So there's a whole bunch of stuff we have to do. And that's why we're partnering with the likes of the Easy Equities, the FNB Securities, Anchor, those sort of guys.
Thank you. Questions from the floor?
Yes.
So can you only trade securities? Can you only trade securities that are listed on your exchange? In
Yes.
other words, there are no instruments or anything mirroring other securities, for example, listed on the JSE?
That is a very good question, and we're busy working on that. So we've got a board that can list ETFs, exchange-traded notes, that sort of thing. We are licensed to do that. We cannot do secondary listings of any shares on another exchange in South Africa, because that simply would fragment the capital market space, which is not what you want. But suffice to say, we can do inward listings from another country. So effectively, if you want to do a Mauritian inward listing, we can do that sort of thing, or foreign inward listed. All those sort of assets we can list. Right now, we only have our primary listings on our exchange that's tradable. But I mean, you can think about it, it's the sort of thing that takes time. But as it builds, each listing, the stickiness is immense. So we'll get traction very quickly.
Could you list cryptos?
Yes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Any more questions? You can go across to the Bill Gallagher room, and then you'll get to interact with Etienne and the other guys. Thank you very much for attending this first session.